Glad to have everybody on this evening. We have a real treat. We have, uh, as you can see from the title slide here, get ready to grill safely. Martha Yount, who is a family and consumer science specialist here in the eastern portion of the state of Kentucky, is going to talk a little bit about grilling safely and some grilling and outdoor grilling. And Martha, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Well, this is the perfect time to talk about grilling, but you know we're required by law to cover this food safety bit in the beginning. So let's go ahead and cover that, and then we'll get some stuff on the grill. So, you know, we always do want to be very sure that the food that we eat is safe. And so there are four main parts to food safety when we're talking about grilling. The first one is to separate, and that starts at the grocery store. When you first start picking up your food, you want to make sure that your meat, poultry, and seafood raw vegetables like lettuce and tomato that we're going to put on things. So we don't want to contaminate those. So remember to separate. And then we want to chill. So we want to make sure that anything that's perishable stays cold until we're ready to grill. And when we get over here starting to cook, I'll tell you a little bit about my setup today that works very well for keeping food safe when you're grilling. We know that under 40 degrees is the magic number for keeping perishable foods safe when we're chilling. Then we want to make sure that everything is clean. So that means our surfaces, our utensils, and the grill. Lastly, we want to make sure that we cook those raw meats to a safe temperature. And it doesn't, you don't have to cook it to death, and that's usually my problem. And so I use a food thermometer, and we'll show the correct and incorrect ways of using a food thermometer. Whoops, I jumped ahead one. And we'll make sure that we get those raw meats to the right temperature. So 145 for whole pieces of beef, pork, lamb, and veal. And of course that you can cook it higher than that if you like it more well done, but that's the minimum temperature to be safe. Fish just needs to get to that 145 and it is cooked. Ground meat like hamburger needs to get to 160. And the reason it's higher than for those whole pieces of meat is that if there are contaminants on the outside of that piece of meat, a whole piece of meat, the outside would cook thoroughly and kill any bacteria. But once you grind it up and mix it all through the meat, we have to make sure that the center of that meat gets to that 160 degrees to make sure that any bacteria there has been killed. And for poultry, we've got to go even a little bit higher, and that's 165. Don't cross-contaminate. I know that in my younger years, I'm sure that my father put the cooked hamburgers right back onto that plate that the raw ones were on, but we know a little bit more now, and so don't cross-contaminate. Either have a complete separate set of platters to put your cooked food on, or if you're using the same one, you really need to go in the house, wash that thoroughly with hot water and soap before you use it again. And then leftovers. Once something is cooked to a safe temperature, it's not going to stay safe forever. So generally we have 2 hours of safe time, but if it's over 90 degrees outside, like in the summertime, that cuts down to only 1 hour. All right, let's see. I think that's about ready. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll go and get the real stuff going. So I'm going to try to spotlight 2 cameras for you. So that one, and then let's see if I can get my close-up camera. And I'll see if I can get that one turned on when I get over here to the table. So Jeremy, it stopped screen sharing, right? And we're ready to go?
Yes, ma'am. Everything looks great.
Okay. All right, let's get the, we'll see how my close-up camera works. It does have a little delay, so you'll notice that there's a little lag. So Jeremy, can you also see the front-facing camera? On my screen, all I can see is the close-up.
I can actually see you right now, but do I need to spotlight your other one?
If you can spotlight both of them, then that'll make it easier. Okay, so to keep things safe, we were talking about using a cooler, and I have my things in a cooler right here. And we're going to start off by getting our bratwurst put on the, let's see if I can figure out where my camera's pointing. We're going to get some brats going on the grill. And then we're going to do a lot of other things too, because the meat, we're good. Okay, that's my backup man there. We may just think about the meat on the grill, but that you can cook everything. So tonight we're doing meat, vegetables, and even dessert on this. So I'm going to start off by putting these brats over on the cool side of my grill. So I have the burner on one side, and we'll turn it down a little bit. And so this is called cooking over indirect heat. So instead of putting it right over the flames on this gas grill, I'm going to put it over on the other side and let it get started cooking. And then as I need to increase the heat, I can move it over. So now let's think about some other things that are great to go with that. And I'll try to get this where you can see in front of the small camera. This recipe is grilled veggie bundles, and I'll show the small camera. Look at those beautiful, colorful vegetables. And so that's just an assortment of raw vegetables. Today I have radishes, broccoli, purple onion, and then colored bell peppers were on sale. And so I have yellow, red, green, and orange, all those colors. And this is a fun way, especially if you have kids, to do vegetables on the grill. And I'm going to use just an empty cup and shape the foil over it so that I make a foil cup. And then I could pick out just the individual vegetables that I wanted, but I'm going to mix them up, and I'm going to add a little bit of vegetable oil. So for this is about 6 cups of vegetables. So I hope that I added about 3 tablespoons of oil, and I'm going to shake that up. I just want a light coating of vegetable oil on those. And then I'm going to put about 1 cup, and I have a 1 cup measure. If you're doing this with your family or your kids and they like different things, just cut up your vegetables and get them ready, and then let each person fill up their cup, the measuring cup, with 1 cup of raw vegetables. And I'm going to put that in my little foil container. And I think I've told you all before, I struggle with high blood pressure, just like a lot of Kentuckians. And so I try to cut down the salt where I can. And so I'm using a salt-free blend that has some garlic and some other things in. And then I'm just going to pinch the top of that and put that bundle over on the hot side. And I'm going to do another one. I do have to share. And we'll fill that again just with 1 cup of cut up raw vegetables. You could use zucchini, summer squash, anything that you like. Asparagus is really good in this. I'm going to use my long handled tongs so that I can get this toward the back. This recipe is the one that takes a little longer to cook, So I'm going to put it toward the back and let it get started cooking. So we have our brats going over indirect heat. We have our veggie bundles over direct heat. And then we're going to do a few more things that are fun to do on the grill. Memorial Day picnics, you just can't think about them without corn on the cob. And yes, I know this is not locally grown yet. We're also going to do some carrots and some sweet potatoes. So the sweet potatoes are a plated up Kentucky recipe. And all I did was peel the sweet potatoes and slice them into 1/2-inch slices, nice and thick. And I sort of cut those on the diagonal so that they'd make a little larger piece and be a little bit easier to manage. We can brush a little bit of olive oil on those. And I will do that with this one, but then I'm going to show you my cheater method. So I'm trying to get some olive oil on all sides. And again, I'm going to put this over direct heat. Sometimes I take a shortcut and I use just a cooking spray, and spray that on both sides. We do not want to spray this toward the flame on the grill or things would get really exciting. And I do know that the fire department can get here quickly, but we don't want to test them out today. And the reason we're making sure to get some oil of some kind, olive oil or this cooking spray on both sides, is so that this doesn't stick. Since it's going on the direct heat, I'm going to have to keep a closer eye on that. I have plenty more cut up, but I want to make sure we have room on the grill for everything. Now, I said that we were grilling corn on the cob, which a lot of people maybe have had grilled or roasted corn on the cob, but something you may not have tried is carrots, whole carrots, a little bit of spray again, and I'm just going to put that right on the direct heat as well. And give that some time. And then the last thing going on the grill is our corn on the cob. You can wrap this in foil. I'm going to wrap it in foil tonight to keep a little more of the moisture in, or you can just put that directly on the grill. And our seasoning tonight is a little bit of unsalted butter. Again, I'm having to watch that sodium, and some reduced sodium soy sauce. And I just want to brush a little bit of that on the ear of corn. Wrap it up, and that will need to get over on the hot part of the grill too. So let's do another ear. And again, just a little brush of that soy sauce and unsalted butter to add some flavor. Okay, and now that I've got everything on there, I am going to light the other side and get direct heat going on both sides. And that way I can turn the one side down a little more. I've got flames coming up and I'd really like to keep those flames down. And I'm going to close the lid. So now we're going to wait a little bit and we can talk. I've got some information, some things about grilling. And Jeremy, if there are questions that come up in the chat box, I can't see that from here.
Martha, we've actually lost your video on on your laptop, if you can hear me. You may have to switch to your phone. Martha, you'll have to go ahead and unmute there, or actually, yeah.
Okay.
We
Can
have you back. Yes.
all right. I saw that the picture went away. Okay. All right. So when you're buying that meat, you know that is often your most expensive part of the whole meal. And so you can watch for it on sale in advance and find what you want, wrap it well, put it in the freezer. Be sure to allow time for it to thaw out because we don't want to put meat out on just on the counter. I know my mother did this. It's just a wonder we're still alive. Um, but it isn't a safe choice for us to put meat out at room temperature to let it thaw. So the very safest way to thaw frozen meat is to put it in the refrigerator well in advance. So, you know, if it's a big piece like a whole turkey at Thanksgiving, it's going to take probably 5 days in the refrigerator for that to thaw out. So again, if you've got if you're using a smoker instead of a grill, so you might be doing a larger cut of meat, again, allow enough time for that to thaw out. So I have some information from Greg Renfro, our meat specialist, and what he recommends for the cuts of meat for grilling are anything that comes from the rib, the loin, or the sirloin, because those do well with dry heat cooking, which is what grilling is. And then the flat iron steak, the chuck eye steak, and the shoulder tenderloin are other cuts that also are really good for grilling. If you have a good cut of meat, you really don't need a lot of seasoning on there, a little salt and pepper and garlic. If you choose to use a marinade, especially if you have a tougher cut of meat and you want to have some tenderizing going on, then your marinade needs to have an acid in it, like lemon juice or vinegar. And you want to allow enough time with that meat in the marinade in the refrigerator, probably around 6 hours for a large cut of meat, to let it tenderize. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a minute so we can check on our progress. I'm going to flip this sweet potato over. They're starting to get a little bit of color. And I hear some sizzle, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to roll the carrots over because I want them to be able to cook long enough to get crisp tender in the middle, but not burn. And we'll flip the corn too, but I'm not going to turn the bratwurst yet. With meats, the more we handle meat on there, the more juice comes out and the drier our meat is going to be. So we don't want to let it overcook, but we don't want to smash it. I know that sizzle that you hear when you smash those burgers and the juices drip out and sizzle is a great sound, but when you're hearing that juice come out and sizzle, that means it's no longer in your meat. So we want to avoid pushing or stabbing it with a fork to turn it over, because that makes a hole and that lets the juices leak out too. So we want to try to keep the juices inside the meat. So I'm going to try to not flip those brats until they look like they're about halfway done. And then I'll flip them over and let the other side cook. Okay, back on meats. And Greg Renfro's information says, and I certainly agree with him, that the most important tool that you have when you're grilling meats is a meat thermometer. And I have a couple of different ones. These are both instant read thermometers. One is a dial and then one is digital. And both of them work just as well. It depends when your eyes are getting older. A digital one's great, but the dial ones work fine too. So we're going to use this to check our bratwurst in a few minutes. And then once your food is cooked, we want to keep it warm without letting it overcook. And so my little grill has a rack on the top, and I can move some of the things that are getting close to done up to that top rack, so they're still at a safe temperature, but they're not going to keep getting as much heat as they do on the bottom. There's so many different kinds of grills as well. This one is a propane gas grill. It's a fairly small one. This is the perfect size right now. It's just me and my husband at home. When we had our 3 girls and their assorted friends, here we had a larger grill, and we needed that because we needed more space. So now when everybody comes home to visit, we have to do a little more planning on our grilling so that we're able to cook for everybody on a smaller space. So we have a smoker too. So sometimes we load up the smoker and cook the meats that way when the kids are home. There are charcoal grills. Some people say that gas grills just don't have the flavor that food cooked over a charcoal grill does. There's a little more involved in cooking over charcoal because you have to buy the charcoal, light the charcoal, and then when you're finished, you have to empty out the ashes and clean it up. But that may be your favorite way of cooking. Propane gas is a little faster just because we can turn it on and it's ready to cook faster than that 20 minutes you have to wait for charcoal. But charcoal just really has great flavor. And then if you are using as long as you have a rack to go over it. So you can invest as much or as little as you want to and still be able to have a successful grilling experience. So if you're deciding to buy a new grill, think about what and how you like to cook so that you don't have too much, even though I know I love to go to Lowe's and walk down that row and look at all those big fancy grills. This one does have a side burner, and that is a feature that I use a lot. And when the power's out, if I want to come out here and cook, it's very easy to turn the side burner on and to cook something there too. Or if you wanted to boil your corn on the cob instead of grilling it, then you could use that side burner. It's nice to have the little accessory tray on the other side where you've got room to put things down. Oh, this is starting to smell good. So I'm going to open the lid and check again. Okay, so, oh, I wish you could smell this. It was just starting to smell good. I'm going to flip the carrots a little more, and I may trade places with some things. Let's get that corn turned over again. The carrots are moving along pretty well. So I think I'm going to trade places with them and the corn to let the corn have a little more heat and slow down the carrots a little bit. And I forgot to mention when we were making our veggie bundles that I had those radishes in there. Radishes are not my favorite vegetable, but they taste completely different when, now there's some motorcycles going by, so we'll see how good this four-wheelers, I think. So if you can't hear those, then that means this is a good microphone. But when we put those radishes in there to roast it, it really changes the flavor on that. And it makes them have a more mild, if you don't like that bite that's in radishes. So let's give our veggie bundles a little shake. And I think I may try to get them on a hotter spot than the next time that we change things. All right, the brats are looking pretty good. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and get those turned over. And if they're not really getting brown yet, oh, they're cooking good. So not too fast. And then it doesn't matter if these are raw brats like I have, or if they were hot dogs or the pre-cooked brats. You still want to get those to 160 degrees on the inside because that is a ground meat product. Okay, I've got one that's cooking a little fast. I'm going to move him over to this cool corner. This one's also a little bit fast, so I'm going to move it back to the cool corner. So you can pay attention to where the hot spots are in your grill. So that you can move things around. Away and leave it. So that's when it's good if you've got your cooler where you had your foods ready to be cooked, waiting, have something nice and cold to drink in there too. And what you pick is up to you. So if you're planning your Memorial Day cooking, you might think that a giant cooler is the best way. But if you can pack a cooler just for beside the grill, then that can help you keep things safe as well as be a little more relaxed instead of having to go in and out of the house to get the things that you need. So when I packed this cooler for today, I packed it several hours ago as I was getting things ready, and I put that raw meat on the bottom and made sure that I had ice packs all around that. And then I went ahead and did the prep work on my vegetables. I peeled the sweet potatoes, I peeled the carrots, I chopped up the other vegetables, and I put those either in Ziploc bags or in a container and put them in the cooler too, and made sure that I had enough ice packs, or you could use ice to keep them cold until I was ready to cook. Then have a separate cooler for things that you're going to get in and out of. Beverages and snacks, would go into a separate cooler. So you might not even need that giant cooler. It might work out better for you to have a couple of medium-sized ones and then maybe some small ones. But just find out what works best for you. We want to keep the food safe, and we want to make sure if we have raw meat in a cooler that we are not dripping it onto the other food. And if I was doing burgers and I had lettuce and tomato instead for toppings on that, I would want to make sure that that was on the very top of the cooler so that nothing would drip on it and it wouldn't get crushed. Okay, we are at 6:30. I'm going to wait a few more minutes before I check the temperature on the brats, but I think they're doing well. Okay, so other things to look for when you're grilling is look at what the grates are made out of. My sister-in-law, it's really important to her that she can take those grates out and take them in the house and run them through the dishwasher. That's important to her. For me, I just like that I can get to them and clean them easily. So after we're through cooking today, I'll leave the heat on. And while it's still warm, I'll use my metal grill brush and scrub off anything that's there. And that way it's clean and ready to go for the next time. You know how gross it is if maybe you took burgers right off and turned the grill off and there's still the little meat juice drips on that, and maybe it's a month before you come back and grill again, and you open up that grill and it's not a very pleasant surprise. So make sure that you take that few extra minutes to clean up after you're done. Now you can use their disposable foil grill pans that you can put on top of the grill rack and grill right on those. And especially if you're using a grill in a public park or a shared grill somewhere, that might be a great thing to do so you don't have to worry maybe about somebody else not cleaning the grill as well as you want it done. Okay, check to make sure that if it has to be assembled, that it is assembled correctly and that everything is secure. You don't want your grill, the leg to fall off in the middle of cooking for a lot of reasons. You don't want to lose your dinner. You also don't want to risk somebody getting injured. And then there are also electric grills. We're not really talking about those. Maybe they're not as common here, but something like a George Foreman indoor grill, but there are also outdoor electric grills. And if you live in an apartment or in some housing where you're not allowed to have another kind of grill, that might be what you need to use. All right, I think we've covered most everything. I am going to throw one more thing on the grill when we get a little bit closer. Last time I did this, I did peaches, and grilled peaches are fabulous over ice cream, but I got to the farmer's market too late yesterday and they were gone, and our grocery store didn't have any. Of course, it's not quite season. So I was disappointed, but my backup was some canned pineapple. And so I'm going to grill a few rings of that and put it over some vanilla ice cream. Okay, let's see if I've talked long enough. And I'm going to start by checking the temperature in this brat that is the most brown. And instead of putting the grill in,
Martha, we have lost your main video feed again. Have some technical difficulties here. Martha, we have lost your feed. If you can hear me through your secondary video, we've lost your main video feed. While we're waiting on Martha to get back online here with her main video feed, if y'all have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat pod, and we can cover those when they're toward the end. How's that?
Jeremy, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes, ma'am. You're good to go now.
Yeah, I got kicked off again, and my computer says no internet. So we're going to finish up with the cell phone. It's a little more secure. So we are ready to plate up. I don't know where I cut out, but the brats are all done, and my veggies are looking good. So I'm gonna put the pineapple on, and then I'm going to start taking the other things off. And I'll do my best to get that one turned where you can see. And this one, the flame is so high, I'm going to go ahead and turn that burner off, and we'll do the pineapple on indirect heat. Oops. So peaches are just wonderful. Grilled, if you've never tried it, make a point of doing that this summer. They get just a little bit of a smoky taste, but they are so good over vanilla ice cream. All right, so our brats are done. 2 of them got a little toastier than we would like. Let's see if I can get this positioned right. Jeremy, is that in the right spot?
Yes, ma'am. Looks great.
Okay, so we can get those off. So a couple of the brats I had in the hot spot, and they would have been better if I'd moved them. This one did perfect. It's got some grill marks on it, and it got right to it was 165, so we know that it is definitely cooked. And it's not quite as brown. Some of the others got a little overly brown. We have our sweet potatoes. And that plated up recipe has a little glaze that we're going to pour over that. Carrots are looking good. I never did hear the corn sizzling, so it may not quite be done. But let's see how our foil wrapped veggies did. Oh, yum. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but oh, when I undid that, I could smell the onion.
Looks
And
great.
we can smell the broccoli and the peppers are done. And we'll check one of the ears of corn and see if it's ready. It doesn't take a long time for corn to cook if it is young and tender. Oh, I believe that is done. Oh, and that smells really good. So I'm going to keep an eye on the pineapple. But I'm going to move my other corn to the top. And the other veggie bundle to the top. What is great about those veggie bundles is that if you have picky kids, they can just eat the veggies raw with some ranch dip, and they can fill this little grilled one with the flavors that they like. So for the pineapple, I just want to get a little bit of color and caramelize the sugars just a little bit. And my helper was supposed to be ready to bring me the bowl of ice cream, but I believe he's wandered away. All right, I'm going to let that go just a little more. Were there any questions before we finish up and I go eat my supper?
There are no questions at this point in time. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to unmute or you're welcome to type it in the chat pod.
Okay, well, this is the little glaze in the plated up the sweet potatoes, and it has olive oil, lemon juice, a little bit of lemon zest, and it called for fresh herbs. Of course, I didn't have any, and our little store here does not. So I put some dried basil in there. Oh, and that smells good, and it looks really pretty on that. Okay, well, I think I'm finished here, Jeremy, and my pineapple, let me let you see that. Just needs another minute or two to finish caramelizing that, and I'll put that on my ice cream. So thanks again for joining me while I'm cooking my supper, and I really enjoyed it.
Martha, thank you so much. This was a real treat. If no one is hungry, it's because they missed it. And you know, this is going to go out on some of the YouTube channels and the I know the government channel in Letcher County. It's going to go there. You're getting some hand claps and some thumbs up there. So great stuff. I'll give you a thumbs up too, and hand claps as well. So great information. Thanks so much again. Looks great. I'm hungry.
Well, you're just about an hour and a half away. Come on over and eat.
That's it. I can be there in about an hour and a half. Well, Martha,
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and
we're going to let you go eat.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, and we're going to let you go eat.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Phil, great episode. Do you have anything to add?
No, other than that was great. The split screen worked really well. I like that. So here on the last one of the series, you threw in some new technology and some new techniques for us. So
we sure did.
It worked out well.
And Martha did a great job as always.
Yes.
We're going to take a break, at least for a little while. And you want to talk about that any?
No, other than we'll be speaking with each other over the summer to figure out probably in September, probably come back with a new Mountain Zoom series. But thank you all for joining us. Hope you have a great summer, and hope you don't forget about us over the summer. And we'll see you again in the fall.
Definitely. And if you want to go back and re-look at some of these that we did last summer, fall, whatever, you can go back and look at those at any time. This video that was done tonight will be posted fairly soon. And everybody have a great summer, like Phil said. And if you all need us, we're not taking a summer vacation. If y'all need us, we're here. Well, if nobody has anything, I guess we'll sign off for the evening. It's great to see everybody. Great to have everybody on. And we look forward to seeing you all later in the summer then. So everybody have a great evening.
Take care of you all. See ya.
Thank you, Brad. See you all.